Hello everyone, my name is Kyle Earl and welcome to today's web workshop, Introduction to eMaint X4 for new users. Before I get started, just a few housekeeping items to go through today. First of all, this session is being recorded and will be posted later to eMaint University, so if you need to rewatch for any reason, you can access it through there. Everyone's phones are muted, so if you have any questions, please post them into the questions box. And at the end of the workshop, I will do my best to answer as many of them as possible. Lastly, at the end of the workshop, a survey will be provided. It's your opportunity to provide any feedback, so we appreciate you taking a few minutes to do so. Also, it's your chance to provide any topic suggestions that you would like to see for upcoming workshops. All right, before we get started, I'd like to start with a poll question. See how many of you are currently using X4. So I'm going to go ahead and activate that now and give you guys a minute to answer. All right, just a few more seconds. All right, looks like we got most of them in. I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. So based on the results, it looks like a small amount of you are already using X4 on a daily basis, but most of you here are just getting into it for the first time or have only used it on a few occasions. All right, today's workshop, here's what I'll be going through. First off, navigating X4, I'll be going through the main table options, how to view your tables, how to add and remove tables from being viewed, the My Shortcuts, and all the menu options that exist within that menu option, the main menu, all the options that exist within there, and the header buttons and what their functionality provides. Then I will go through creating and viewing assets, creating and viewing contacts, creating and viewing work orders, as well as adding charges to a work order and closing a work order once it's complete. Lastly, I will go through some features available in the list view, such as joining tables, creating filters, creating sorts, adding and moving fields around, clearing your list view filters, and starring important records. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and bring my X4 account over. All right, so first off, for those of you using our old system, the X3 system, if you've never accessed X4 before, let me flip back over there. You can get to it by coming to the Navigation tab and then simply clicking on X4 link here under the main section. This will then take you into X4. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to go over is the tables. So as you can see, for me, on the left-hand side here, I have all the tables that I've made available to my user at this point. Depending on what theme settings you have turned on, which I will go over in a minute, your tables may be displaying across the top. You can access any table by clicking on it, and it will change to the table, to those records. You can manage what tables display here by coming up into the next portion, which is the My Shortcuts menu, which you can access by clicking on the little icon here. Again, depending on what theme you're using, this icon may appear over on the upper right-hand side next to your main menu option. So once you located that, you can click on it, and it will open up a menu options that look like this. So the first one we have up here in the upper left is the Manage Tables. And this will open up a dialog that will show you what tables you currently have selected over here on the right-hand side. With those, you can move them up and down to reorder in which they appear. On the left-hand side is the tables that are available for selection to be able to add to your viewable tables. So you can do so in two ways. You can either hit the plus icon, which will move it over into your selected table side, and it'll move it to the bottom of the list, which you can then move it. Or you can simply click and drag over and drop it into wherever in the sequence you want that table to appear. Same thing goes for removing tables. You can simply click the minus button to remove a table from being viewed, or click and drag it back over into the available table section. All right. Now the tables that are being viewed is on a per user basis, so you can be viewing tables that another user in your account might be viewing different tables. The next option we have is your Manage Forms. So this allows you to access the different forms for the different tables, customize them to be able to add fields, edit fields, move them around, etc. So you would simply come in here. Again, you choose the table that you're trying to modify. So if I wanted to modify my work order form, I can search for my work order form, select it. Once I do so, on the right, it will show me all the different forms that I have available in that table. I'll select which one I want to edit, and I can either double click on it to open it, or that I can single click it and then select Edit Form. Doing so will open it up in another tab, and now I can modify it as needed. Next up, we have the account settings. So this will take you into the section with all the administrator settings. So you have your normal account page that stores all the user information. So if you need to change your password or do anything like that, change your contact information, you can do that from here. Otherwise, the rest of these are all the administrator system settings that you can go through and modify. To return back, you can just click on this Go Back to X4, or click on the icon up here. Either one will take you back to the main page. In addition, we also have options for the Scheduler module, Document Storage module, the Reporting module, and Workflow Manager. And then down the bottom row, we have your eMaint University, your Help Center, how to get contact support, our About page, and Log Out. To get away from the shortcuts menu, just simply click away from it anywhere and it will hide it again. Okay. Next, over in the upper right hand corner, I'm going to talk about the main menu drop-down. So in addition here, you can see we have several different menu options. So administration, again, so change your settings will take you back to that account settings page. You also have your user administration page where you can manage your users, set their user rights, their usernames, passwords, things like that. You also have your remove deleted records page and your import data page. In addition, you'll see we have access to some other pages from different modules, condition monitoring, purchase orders, requisitions, things of that nature. All right. Also up here across the top, we have a few other header options. So the first is our language header option. So as you can see, when I hover over this, I have the ability to change between languages. So if I say I want to say view it in Spanish, I can select, hit proceed, and you will see it is reloaded in Spanish. Now, when you change that, it doesn't translate your data. This is all user entered. What it changes is all the system text. So you can see all the tables on the side, the drop-down options, things like that are all translated. And again, that's per user, so each user could have their account set to a different language. All right, next we have expand to full screen. So if I click it, we're just going to go into full screen mode. Just press escape to get back out of it. Next is a reset button. Basically, clicking this will perform somewhat of a factory reset and set you back to all the default settings. Next, we have our theme settings. So this is where you can come in and modify the layout of your screen. So as I mentioned before, you have the ability to put your menu on top. So you see if I check this, it moves my tables to display across the top. So if any of you coming over from X3 know that this is more similar to how it looks there. Unchecking will move it back to the side. Fixed navigation. So what that does is, as you can see right now on my screen, I have to scroll down to the bottom of the page before I can see my footer, where I can move to the next page or scroll. If I scroll up, it goes away. If I turn on fixed navigation, that footer now stays on my screen at all times. So now I can scroll, and you see it doesn't go away, and I have the ability to navigate at any point from my list view. Here you have the ability to change your font size. So you can press, as you see, I press the plus button, you'll see it increase. As I press minus, it decreases. Again, you have your reset button. It's the same thing as up here. Below that, you have a list of default themes. So selecting these will change the color schemes that are being used. You also have the ability down here under Manage Themes to customize your own theme and your own color schemes. So if you click on that, it'll bring up a new dialog where you have all these options to customize your own theme. All right, next we have the collapse menu option. What this is going to do is collapse my table menu. So if I press it, this goes away, and I have to hover over this area for them to appear. Once I move away, it hides it again. Clicking it again will uncollapse it. Next we have an open sidebar. So we have a sidebar on the right-hand side that contains a few different features such as our Explorer, our wall, and our recently viewed. Just press the X to close it again. And then lastly, we have our log out button. All right. So next we're going to move on to assets, and I'm just going to walk through viewing and creating a new asset. So I can access my asset list by clicking on the asset table. As you can see, here's my list of current existing assets. To view any one of these assets, I can simply click on my asset ID link, or I can come over here to my arrow, click it, and then click view. So either one will open up the record just like this. To return the list, simply just click the Go to List button, and it will take you back to your list view. All right. To create a new asset, you can do it from two different places. You can do it from within an existing asset by clicking Add up here in the top left. Or you can do it from the list view up here in the upper right hand side by clicking the plus button. As you see, I hover over it, it says Add New Record. So I'm going to go ahead and click it here, and it's going to open up a new form. Okay. Assets are one of the records that require manually entered unique ID. In this case, it's asset ID. So I'm going to go ahead and put something in here. And I have my asset description. And then the rest of this stuff is all optional. So you can fill in what you want. And again, these forms can all be customized to include whatever fields are necessary for your operations. So I'm going to go ahead and save this, and now we have my new asset. In addition to the main record, we also have the related table records, which you can see are up here on the top. So I can navigate around through my different related tables for assets by clicking on the different tabs. To get back to the list, I want to make sure I go back to the main record details and then access my Go to List button. All right. Next I'm going to show is contacts. I'm going to come to my contacts table. Go ahead and clear the filter that's on here. So here's my list of existing contacts. Again, same process involved here. Clicking on an ID will take me into the detail view of the record. Go to List will return. Clicking the Add Record button up here will open up a new form where I can create my new contact record. All right, so again, we have to provide a unique identifier here for the contacts, and that's our contact ID. We also want to, if this contact that's being created is also a eMaint user, we want to make sure that we put the username in here. It's also highly recommended that if it is an eMaint user, that the contact ID that you provide is the same as the username. There are different areas of functionality within the system that require contact ID and username being the same in order for it to function properly. All right, so there's my new saved contact record. And now I'll go back to list. All right, next I will move on to work orders. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my work order tab. And again, here's my list of existing work orders. I have my work order links. And notice I also have asset ID as a link here so I can jump right to my asset from this list view as well. All right, and again, the same process applies. So clicking on any of these will open the detail view of my work order. Clicking up here will add a new work order. So I'm going to go ahead and click. For work order number, this will automatically get populated, so you no need to enter one. It'll say 0 here, but once you save, it will update to the next number in the sequence. All right, you'll see a few things get automatically populated, such as the date. You want to make sure that you're filling out, your asset ID, for example, so that way this work order gets tied to an asset, as well as any other key information. Work description, what work is being done. If you want to assign the work order to anybody, you can do that using the assign to field here. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and close this one. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to search for an already existing open work order. And again, so like I showed on the asset, we have our related tables up here in the upper right hand side. So as the work order is being worked on, we want to record either parts being used or labor being spent on this work order. We can do that through the work order charges related table. So I can access it by clicking up here on my work order charges. As you can see, there's already a charge being applied to this. You can see through the different buttons here that I can add a part, I can add a labor, or add a miscellaneous charge to this work order. So say I want to add a labor, I can select that. My dialog window will open. I can choose who I want to apply the labor to. So I'll just choose this Jack Weber. I can select my transaction date. I can enter start and stop time, or I can simply just put in a quantity. So say I worked 1 hour. You can provide the unit cost, which can get pulled over from the contact record. And then once that's complete, just click save, and then you can see it adds it on to our charges. All right. I'm going to go ahead and return back to the record details. So once this work order is complete, the last thing that I want to do is close out the work order. To do so, I want to be back on my main record details. I want to come to actions, and you'll see the first option here is close out. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. You'll see my closeout window appear. I can input what I want the completed date to be, put in any comments or anything like that, and then once I'm ready, select to close out the work order. As you'll see, what happens there is my status, which was previously a capital O for open, now automatically gets updated to a capital H for historical. All right, so now I'm just going to return back to my list. And now I want to go over the list views and how to manage them. So as you can see right now, I entered a filter previously to search for my open status work orders. So you can see the filter that I have applied is listed up here. If I want to clear my filter, I can simply just click this clear filter button next to it, and it will remove out any text that I have written into any of these fields. All right. So first and foremost, all your list view options are located up here in the upper right-hand side. So I have my manage table relations, my manage filters, my manage sorts, and my manage columns. In addition to that, we also have the clear grid state, which will clear out anything that you have set. So any sorts, filters, all that stuff, it will reset it back to cleared. All right, to manage my columns, again, so I'm going to go ahead and click on this. As you can see, much like with my managed tables, I have my two sides, I have my available columns, and I have my selected columns. So my selected shows everything that I have out there as of now. Again, I can drag and drop within here to rearrange them. And I can simply drag and drop over from my available or click my plus. Same to remove from selected. If I want to remove one, I can click the minus or click and drag to move them back out. In addition to using the Manage Table Columns window, I can also move fields around directly from the list view. So I can click and drag any column and move it to another spot in the list. All right, next I want to show adding filters. So again, I can type into any of these boxes and search for whatever it is that I want to search for. So let's say I'll go ahead and search for truck under my asset descriptions, and it returns truck. Next to each of these boxes, you'll see we have this funnel icon. Clicking this will open up this drop-down, which allows you to indicate how you want it to search, basically using what operator. So I have it selected right now to contains. So it searched for where all asset description contains truck. I could switch this to equals to, I could switch this to not equal to, or does not contain, or anything like that. So you can modify how each column is searching. Once you have a filter in place, you can also click on the filter up here to open up a more advanced dialog window for managing your filter, where I can add rules, which is basically adding another filter, and I can select what field I want to use and add additional criteria to my filter. Once I have a filter in place, I also have the ability to save it so that I can refer back to it at any time. I can do that by coming up here to my Manage Filter menu option, and I can come down and click Save Filter. Once I do that, it'll prompt me with a window to name the filter. So I can say truck assets. And you can set that filter to either be private to you, or you can set it to global so that all users have the ability to utilize this filter. So I'll go ahead and save. And so now if I clear this, I have up here my drop down of Save Filters. I can simply click it, and it will return me back to that filter that I saved. All right. So now I'm back to a cleared state. The other cool thing you can do from the list view is you can join tables in. So for example, if I want to see, and it's already set up to show this, if I want to see the total dollar amount of charges on each one of these work orders, I have the ability to join the charges table in and view that information without having to go into the detail view of the work order and then access the work order charges related table. So you can manage your joins through this menu option here. It says Manage Table Relations. So as you can see, here's my list of available tables that I can join in. Currently, I have set for charges to join. You can modify which type of join you want to use, which can also help filter your list based on which one you're using. So right now I'm just using a left join to charges. What this allows is that when I come to my Manage Table Columns, you'll see that up here I have the ability to toggle between work orders and charges to choose what fields I want to add to my list. So this is now providing the list of work order fields. If I change to charges, now I'm looking at a list of fields from my charges table to add. One thing to note with the joins is that in an instance such as this, where we're talking about what we call a many-to-one relationship, meaning there is the possibility for multiple charges per one work order, whenever you add a field from the related table, it's going to force an aggregate of some kind onto that field, which you can choose. So I can click through to rotate through the different aggregates that are available. And that's how it will be applied. Because basically what we can't have is, if I have 4 charges on work order 101, I don't want to see 4 lines in this list view for work order 101 for each different charge that exists. It will always force there to be one line, and it will force you to do some kind of aggregate to see a sum or a total of some kind for the related table records that you're joining in. All right, last thing I want to show is we also have the ability to star records. So if any of these work orders is deemed as important for some reason, you can star that record. What this allows you to do is allows for quick filtering. So I can search. So underneath here, under work orders, I can click on starred, and it will search just for my starred records. In addition, we also have, so I pointed out earlier, we have this open sidebar. So this feature for the wall, any actions taken against starred records, so if I star this work order, any charges that I apply to this work order, or any actions like closing it out, you will see the wall update saying that those actions occurred. All right. To unstar, simply click the star again, and it will unstar that record. All right. With that, that concludes today's web workshop. I will now go into a question and answer session and try to answer any questions that you guys have. Real quick before I start with that, just to give you guys a heads up of upcoming workshops and events, we have Interactive Plans Tool in eMaint X4. That will be January 25th. The Workflow Manager in eMaint X4 the following month in February 22nd. And Reporting in eMaint X4 on March 22nd. So keep an eye out for those workshops coming up the next few months. Make sure you sign up. Some of our upcoming best practices webinars. So we have the Selling the Value of Facilities Maintenance or Management on the 18th of January. MRO, intersection of MRO and reliability on the 15th of February. And lastly, preventative maintenance optimization on March 15th. So if you're interested in attending any of these best practice webinars with our guest speakers, please make sure to keep an eye out and register for those. Lastly, our upcoming bootcamp training sessions. So we have a few in January and one in February. System administration, work management and PMs, reports and dashboards, inventory and purchasing. Please register for any of those that you may be interested in. I know it's a great time of year to come down and visit our Bonita Springs office for any of you guys up north.